Welcome to Men Pursuing More, the podcast for men who are serious about growth, purpose, and becoming all they were created to be. I'm your host, Roger Maupin, and this is your space to get real, get challenged, and get moving towards something greater. Today's episode is a special focus on men's health because it's time we stop ignoring it. Too many men are living worn out, stressed out, and disconnected from what truly matters. Your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health isn't optional. It's essential. Being a man who pursues more starts with taking ownership of your health. Not someday, today. Strong minds, strong bodies, strong hearts. That's the foundation of becoming the man you were meant to be. This isn't about perfection. It's about intention. So wherever you're at, lean in. Let this episode push you to make the next step toward becoming a healthier, stronger, and more disciplined man. Welcome to Men Pursuing More. I'm your host, Roger Maupin. I believe every man has the potential to push past his limits and strive for something greater. Whether you're a former athlete who is looking for what's next, a professional pushing through the daily grind, or someone simply ready to break through life's toughest challenges, if you're ready to step into the pursuit of something more, your pursuit begins now. All right, welcome back to Men Pursuing More. I'm your host, Roger Maupin. I want to welcome Pat Woodcock once again to the podcast, and our focus is on men's health this episode. We will having reoccurring episodes on men's health every Tuesday, released at the beginning of each month. So welcome back, Pat, and let's get right into it. And can you share with the listeners some successes that you've had in starting the Elite Man Method?
Oh man, there's been so many. I think the easy place to go is to look at guys. I've had guys who have lost 70 pounds in 6 months, guys who have lost over 100 over the course of a year. And so those are ones that obviously come to mind really quick. But when I stop and think for a second, I had a guy who was early 40s, very high level, kind of CEO level type guy, and had just gotten away from fitness. It was part of his life for a long time. Got busy with business, got busy with family, and he actually, one of his sons was physically disabled. And he said, it's getting to the point where I can't carry my son up the stairs anymore. And after a few months of working together, he was able to lose some weight. He was able to get stronger. And he said, Pat, I carried my son upstairs today. And those are things that you just absolutely cannot put a price on. And it goes way beyond numbers on a scale or how you look in pictures. That's a dad being able to care for his son in the way that he really wants and needs to. So I think when you think of a big win coming from coaching in the Elite Man Method, that's probably the number one that sticks out in my head.
I love that because we're not looking for this major win. We're just looking at some wins along the way.
Yeah, no, 100%. It doesn't have to be drastic, right? It just has to be like, nobody's trying to step on stage and win a bodybuilding competition here. It's just about feeling a little bit better, looking a little bit better, being able to perform on a day-to-day basis a little bit better than we are currently.
I love it. All right. Share with the listeners why might it be important to join a gym or club instead of working out at home. I know there's some benefits of working out at home, and what are some of the kind of core lifts that majority of clients will do? So if it's at the club or maybe at their home, I know gym or club is probably the best setting.
Yeah, it's very individual. I think in this day when we do so much at home, so many guys are able to work from home, and obviously you take care of your family at home and all that kind of stuff. It can be really good mentally just to get into a different space, just to be somewhere else and say, okay, I'm going to work out. There's no distractions, right? With a home gym, somebody can come in, hey, dad, I need you for this, or honey, can you go do this for me in the middle of your workout? And sometimes you need that space where you're separated from things and you can just shut yourself off and go to work for an hour. And so I think those are the biggest benefits to go. Obviously, you have access to equipment and all that kind of stuff, although I do have some guys who have some really nice home gyms too. But yeah, I think that separate space where you put everything else aside and concentrate on just doing a workout for an hour is probably the number one big benefit to being at a public gym as opposed to doing it at home. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people need to have that freedom to be able to go down and just do a workout on a moment's notice. And it's really about making it work for what's going to work for your specific situation. In terms of core movements that everybody does, I'm not tied to any particular exercise. Obviously, I want to have everybody doing some sort of squat movement, some sort of lunge movement, some sort of horizontal press, some sort of vertical press for the upper body. But those are variable. It might be with a barbell, it might be with a dumbbell, it might be on a machine of some kind. It's really about trying to figure out exactly where the particular man is at, what he needs from me, and how he's best going to get results, right? Some of those guys, that guy who lost 100 pounds, if I took him on day one and put him under a barbell and told him to squat, that's probably not going to go so well. He's going to end up getting hurt and not end up getting the results that he ended up getting. So it's about seeing exactly where each individual client is and being able to tailor the program to exactly what he needs to have success.
That's so key about tailoring it to that person, because there's like programs out there. It's like some people started, have a little success. Some started, they have a lot of success, and some started, it's like they have no success.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's part of the danger with social media is you see this guy did this program and you see this fitness model who does nothing but work out all day, and he looks great. He's got taking his shirt off. He's got all the abs, whatever. And you look at that and you're like, oh, that program works. I got to do that program. That's what's going to get me to look like that. Not necessarily. Right? You don't know where he started from. You don't know what any of his movements are like, what his athleticism is like. And certainly you need something that's going to be more tailored to where you are particularly at in order to get the best result. And it may not happen in the first 2 months or 3 months, but if you get injured in those first 2 or 3 months trying to do something you took offline, then you're going to be pushing your results further and further down the road.
That kind of ties into this question I want to ask about as a coach. What's importance about having a coach? Because I'm going to do this on my own. I got this workout. But tell us the benefits of really having a fitness coach or a health coach help you along.
You know what? I think it's just like anything else that you want to be really good and successful at, is that it's an outside set of eyes, somebody with expertise in that particular field of expertise, and as somebody who can help you see what you're not seeing. The best businessmen in the world, they have coaches to help them be better businessmen. Mm-hmm. The best athletes in the world have coaches that help them. You don't think Tom Brady knew how to throw a football already? He had a coach every single day of his life. And so no matter who you are, like, I don't write my own programs. I have somebody else look at where I'm at and what I'm trying to do and write a program for me to go do. I think it's important because we all have little subconscious thoughts that, like, oh, I really like this exercise. You might not even say it out loud, but I'm always going to program myself to do this exercise, when in reality, I might be better off doing something different. And I'm a little bit frustrated this week because I got my coach to create a new program for me, and this is my first week doing it. And I'm not very good at the movements that we're doing. And it's a frustrating week because I'm trying to get back up to speed with some stuff that I haven't done in a long time. And so it's that kind of that outside eye, that outside guidance that helps us just be better and achieve more than we could if we're just stuck in our ways and doing the same old workouts over and over again. I think the other thing too is the accountability piece. I think as men, we are in charge of so much, right? You're the head of the family and you don't really answer to anybody. Obviously, you're going to have discussions with your partner and your wife about certain things, but you don't necessarily answer to anybody. Maybe you're doing really well in business and you're the boss and nobody's telling you what to do. And it's really easy to get caught up in that. And I don't feel like working out today, so I'll just do it tomorrow. And there's nobody there to tell you any different. Whereas a coach is going to be like, yeah, he's going to call you out on your bull and say, hey, man, like, you said you had a goal you wanted to achieve. You're just being a little bit soft and weak right now. So why don't you just get off the couch and go to the gym?
Really, we have to get off the couch to have some time?
It helps. It helps. If you're doing a home workout, we might use the couch, but generally we want to get off the couch.
What about with you? I know the listeners want to know about this because you have clients that are at a distance.
Yeah.
And so how does that work? How they would like to know about, explain how it works for a coach at a distance and how might you keep them engaged?
Yeah, so it all starts with a conversation like this over the phone or over Zoom, where I get really detailed in terms of where you're at, what you're struggling with, where we want to get you to. Obviously, we're going to talk about what your experience is in the gym, right? So I can program accordingly. I send you more questionnaires. I gather a lot of information around any injury history that you might have, any medical stuff, just to make sure that the program is really going to give you what you need without pushing you too hard, too fast. Then I will sit down and obviously put the program together in terms of training, nutrition, kind of lifestyle adjustments, all those things based on our discussions. And then I send that to you in an app for your phone. So it's really easy for you to access. There's videos for everything. So you see all the exercises, how you're going to track your food and create your meals and all that kind of stuff. And we communicate multiple times per week in order to hold you to that accountability factor that I just spoke of. We're going to have coaching calls like this. We're going to have phone conversations. We're going to message back and forth within the app based on how your workouts are going, based on how your nutrition is going, based on how you feel in general, and also just based on, hey, I'm just checking in, making sure you're feeling good, making sure you're happy with where we're going, and if there's anything that you need from me to make it work a little bit better for you the next week.
And your app works once you become their coach, then you have access to that app, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's part of my onboarding process is I'm going to create a profile for you in my app and get you all those questionnaires to get all your medical and all your injury history and all your nutrition information that I need is going to go all right into that app so that I can have it all in one place and be able to program for you effectively.
I love it. The listeners just hear that. Need to go find Pat Woodcock. Okay, we'll talk more about that at the end. But since your episode from last time, this time we're going to focus more on fitness. Now, share with the listeners why weightlifting is so important for your overall health. Because sometimes I'm just going to get some cardio. I'm just going to try to eat right, and we forget about the weightlifting.
Yeah, there's a couple different things. If anybody knows, there's a doctor named Peter Attia, and he's a longevity doctor. He's written a book, done a bunch of different studies and that kind of stuff. And one of the number one factors when it comes to living a long and productive life is strength and how much muscle mass you have. So it's not, obviously, we're not talking about bodybuilders in terms of that much muscle mass, but when you get older, basically the amount of muscle mass that you have correlates well with how long you're going to live. I forget exactly what the statistic is, but it basically is if you're over the age of 70 and you fall and break a hip, the chances of you dying within the next year are like 100-fold as if you didn't fall and break the hip. And part of that falling and breaking the hip is not being strong, not being coordinated, not being athletic anymore, and you lose balance and you can't catch yourself. The other big thing that comes from weight training is we get a hormone release from lifting weights that we don't get from other forms of exercise. So when you train effectively, and this is the basis of my entire program, in that I program specifically for this, and then muscle gain and fat loss kind of comes as a result of these results. And that is trying to program in such a way that the body releases a little bit of testosterone, a little bit of growth hormone, simply as a result of the workout. Now, it's not going to be something that I work out a few times and now I have a higher testosterone level and a higher growth hormone level for good going forward. It's not a lasting effect. But if I continue to work out and do it on a regular basis, then I can continue having those elevated levels floating within the bloodstream and getting me the recovery and the hormone response that I'm looking for. So that is the number one factor in terms of my programming, why we use weight training over cardio or even interval training or anything like that, because it provides that hormone response within the body that we can't get from other forms of exercise.
Explain and catch on to it, listeners, because a lot of times I'm going to do a little cardio here. I'm going to eat here. And you never think about that regards to that weight training, how important that is.
For sure. There's always a place for cardio. Heart health is going to be heart health, and that's always going to be a part of a balanced fitness and health lifestyle. But like you said, so many people rely solely on that. And I get it. It's easy. It's okay. I just got to throw on shoes. I go run for 25 minutes or 30 minutes and I'm done. Yes, cool. You've increased your cardiovascular health, hopefully, but you haven't necessarily addressed strength, increasing muscle mass, and you certainly haven't addressed the hormone factor either.
Appreciate that. Explain to me, if a guy's like in his 50s, has a bad knee, concerns with one of his shoulders, what might be some basic lifts for this man? Or maybe even has a little achy back, maybe it's Achilles because of playing so much basketball, kind of a little pain. What kind of advice would you give to him?
Yeah, so that's all going to come either in the questionnaire or in our conversation in terms of exactly how serious those injuries are. Like, is that knee so bad that you can't squat down at all? Or is it something where we just have to manage the load? You can still have range of motion, but we can't go too heavy yet because we got to make it healthier. Same thing with the shoulder, right? If you're restricted in a certain plane, if we can't go to the side, then maybe we can go in the front. And we certainly, maybe we can't go behind the head, but we can do a pull instead. Basically, it's really just about, again, individualizing that injury. It's not just a bad knee. It's got to be your bad knee. So how bad is it? What exercises can we actually do? And then I make sure that we program those in such a way that we can get the knee stronger and hopefully get it to match up, as long as it's not something, you don't have something torn in there. Obviously, there's nothing we can do with that too much. And so we got to make other adjustments, or you got to get it fixed. But if it's wear and tear, shoot, I played professional football for 8 years, right? I've got lots of wear and tear. I've got little things that if I don't warm up for 30 minutes, I can't do very well. There's certain exercises that I can't do or that I don't do because they really don't feel good. And so you just got to program around those things in such a way that it can, number one, not make it worse, but ideally make it a little bit better and stronger so that then we can start doing more things as we go forward.
Explain. So I appreciate that. There's probably a lot of men out there like that. It's, man, I got these aches and pains, and
We all got something.
I need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then we just need to see some baby steps maybe at first. And
yes. And I think that's something that's hard to do on your own, right? Unless it's something that, an area of expertise or something that you've really put time into, it's hard necessarily to find those alternate exercises. I really want to squat. Like I got to squat, right? Squat's the number one thing for legs, but my knee hurts. No, you don't have to squat. Like we could lunge, we can do some hinges, we can put you on a machine maybe for the meantime, just to make sure that you're getting some work. We can strengthen that joint, and then maybe we can squat in a month or two, depending on how you feel.
If it's a man that's new to lifting, or maybe he's done some lifting,
yeah,
but he needs some examples, do you demonstrate that on a Zoom, or do you have like videos made to share with them in the app? Or
yeah, so every single exercise has a video in the app. So when you first get your program, you can go through every single exercise. If you don't recognize it or don't know what it is, you can watch that video. In addition to that, if it's really something foreign to you, or even you're doing it, but you don't feel like you're doing it quite right, I'll have them videotape themselves doing the exercise and send it to me, and we'll coach it up. We'll get on a live call, a Zoom call, and say, okay, you're doing the squat this way. I need you to move your feet this way and stand up a little bit straighter and do this and that. And we just correct it just as we would if we were in the gym.
You were made for more clarity, more confidence, more impact. At Maupin Coaching, I help high school and college athletes master the mental game and guide men into purpose-driven leadership. Grab the sports book, rock that merch coming soon, and step into more at maupincoaching.com. If an individual starts off, because you need some recovery time, to rest your muscles.
Yep.
Are you looking at them starting off at 2 times a week, 3 times a week? If they started like they haven't lifted for, let's say, a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because there's probably a lot of men out there that I need to get fit. I used to at one time, and I need to get back into it. How do you start them off regards to maybe the lifting, how many times a day, and then also maybe with the cardio?
Yeah, so it's always only once a day. We don't get into doubles for both from a time perspective and just it's not necessary, and it's not even a great idea because of that recovery factor. We're just not going to recover the same way that we used to. And so it's never more than once a day. Generally, I start with 3 to 4 times per week, depending on where you're at. And then within that, depending on where your individual scenario, maybe we'll just reduce the volume during those workouts, but I still want you to do 3 to 4 per week. So maybe you're still going to go to the gym 4 times a week, but instead of doing 3 sets of everything each workout, you're only going to do 1 or 2, but you're still getting there 3 to 4 times per week. So that kind of helps the body to realize that we're going to train on a regular basis, and it allows you to get a workout in, but it doesn't necessarily tax you to the point where you can't recover before the next one. Whereas I can only send you twice per week, but if you do 4 or 5 sets of everything, you're going to be wrecked. So it's going to take you more time to recover in between. And if you haven't done anything and you're getting started, you're going to be sore the first week. There's no getting around that. but I don't want you to be so wrecked that you can't get through the next workout. So it has to be moderated to such a degree that, yeah, you're going to be sore, you're going to be tired, you're going to be tight. We do a nice big warm up before we get started every day. So I want you to be able to get through that warm up and then say, oh yeah, okay, I do feel good enough to get a little workout in today, even if it's only 1 or 2 sets early on. And then we build on that as we go. I don't need you to go from 0 to 1,000 in the first week. Right? I need you to go from 0 to 1 in the first week. And then next week, maybe we go to 3. And the next week, maybe we go to 5 and so on. This is a long game, right? This is not if you're, oh, I need to go on a crash diet to put on a suit for a wedding. I'm not your guy. That's not what I do. I don't do the crash diet thing because it's not enough people can do that and then have you gain all the weight and not feel good afterwards that you can go find one of them. I'm in this for the long game to make sure that you get to how you want to look, how you want to feel, how you want to perform, and then we can stay there for the rest of your life if you want to.
I kind of shout out to a friend of mine, John Morgan. He'd always say, Roger, you just got to do something.
Yeah.
You need to have movement for 15 minutes at least a day.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning and just do some stretching, do a little dumbbell, weight, do some push-ups, do something to get started instead of doing nothing.
Because those kind of things are quick wins. If you're doing nothing, then yeah, getting up and taking 15 minutes with a dumbbell or doing some push-ups or some squats, that's a win. And a win creates momentum, right? Yeah, that felt good. I got through that. Cool. I can now do 15 minutes again on Wednesday. And then, well, maybe I can do 25 minutes on Friday. And those kind of things can build that momentum and get you going and lead to full workouts down the road. If you're really stuck and you have nothing to do something, get a quick win and build on that as you go.
We've covered a little bit of this, what I was going to ask you about. So I want to just kind of get to share with the listeners about, you already talked about kind of lifting, but the importance of recovery and rest. Because
it's huge.
You know how there's lifters out there I'm just going to lift, I'm going to get after it. I haven't done it for a couple of years, or maybe they just continue. They never have any rest, no recovery. So can you just share that with the listeners?
Yeah, I think it's huge and it's very much overlooked, not even necessarily in a training perspective, but just guys don't get enough sleep. Forget trying to be good for a workout the next day or trying to recover from a workout. Guys aren't getting enough sleep to function properly and be healthy and have their hormones do the things that we want them to do. They can't do that on 5-6 hours of sleep. They just can't. We really need to. The biggest way that you're going to recover between workouts is getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's the number one factor when it comes to recovering between a workout. You can do saunas and cold tubs and massages and whatever else you think you want to do in terms of recovery. But if you're only sleeping 5 hours a night, it's not going to do much good for you. So that's the number one thing that we want to focus on is getting good quality 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Then we want to make sure we're drinking enough water each day so that the body is hydrated and the tissues are moving and we can shuttle nutrients back and forth. And then the third one is going to be the nutrition itself, getting enough protein, getting enough calories, getting enough fats to allow the body to do the things that we're asking it to do. So many guys get caught up in, I actually had a client recently, I laid out what his numbers were in terms of how much calories we want to have and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, oh, so as long as I'm below that, I'm going to be good. I was like, we don't want to be just below for a random reason. We want to be at those numbers because just being below, yes, you're a calorie deficit, but you're asking the body to do a lot. We want to work out. We want to ask the body to burn fat and ask the body to build muscle. It can't do that in a calorie vacuum, right? It has to have enough calories to do those things and to fuel your workouts properly and to fuel your recovery properly. And so between sleep and hydration and nutrition, those are the biggest ways that you're going to recover from your workouts. All the other stuff, hey, I'm a big proponent of cold tubs and hot tubs, and I like the compression boots and all that kind of stuff for recovery, but it doesn't do any good unless you're taking care of those 3 big things at the beginning.
Can you explain to the audience, because they're going to wonder, they're going to, I think there's a number of men would have this question about, I'm just struggling with sleep.
Yeah.
And can you explain what they can do, what you've been talking about, what they can do to really help with their sleep going forward?
Yeah. I think there's a couple factors. Number one, we got to turn screens off earlier, right? Like you got to be at least an hour away from being on your computer.
Like
yeah, being on your computer
right now, and also your
ideally being off the phone as well. You can get away with maybe watching TV a little bit longer because it's farther away, a different wavelength in terms of the into your eyes and that kind of stuff. But Ideally, we're turning the TV off as well, and we're reading or we're listening to music or we're talking to people, God forbid, instead of being in front of a screen. So that would be a key one, is do that earlier, because the screens, they turn off melatonin production. And everybody knows, oh, I got to take melatonin to go to sleep if I'm struggling. But you're counteracting. If you're taking a melatonin supplement, but you're still on your screen, you're not doing yourself any good, because being on the screen, the screen, the electricity, all that kind of stuff, it turns off the melatonin production in the body. The other big thing, and part of the same thing, is you want to sleep in basically the bat cave. You want it to be dark. You want to have no lights. You want it to be cool, right? You don't want it to be too cold that you're shivering, but it should be cool so that you're under a blanket. And yeah, no sounds, no lights for sure. And the other big one is getting that little bit of movement and fresh air every day is going to help you sleep better at night too. So if you're simply sitting in front of the computer all day long and you never get outside, you never move your body, it's going to be hard to fall asleep at night because your body hasn't done anything all day to make itself tired. There's supplements you can take and all that kind of stuff, but really we want to take care of. I guess another big one that guys tend to miss is eating a little bit too close to bedtime as well. You want to finish your last meal ideally 2 hours before you go to bed, because if you're going to bed and your body's still digesting food, then you can't get full rest because the body's still working to try to digest that food. So try to move your meals up to you getting at least 2 hours before you're going to bed. Turn the screens off, sleep in a bat cave. And those are going to be the biggest ones to get you some movement and some fresh air during the day.
And I've heard also that they talk about how weightlifting is so good for your body, but it's also going to not just like everything you've already said, but also the weightlifting and the cardio can also help with that sleep going forward.
Yeah, for sure. You've expended energy, right? You've trained the body, you've worked the body. Now it's got to recover. And we do our recovery while we're sleeping. So the body's fatigued, it's worked out hard, the muscles are tired. Then, yeah, your body says, yeah, I need to sleep now so that I can recover from that workout and feel better the next day. But like I said, if you've just been sitting in front of a computer all day, your body doesn't have that same sense of, I'm tired, I need to go to sleep, because it hasn't done anything.
Well, listener, hopefully you're taking notes. Because there's a lot of men that talk about, hey, sleep.
Yeah.
I need to get back into shape. What do I do first? What kind of workout do I focus on? I tried a couple of different workouts and I just got burned out.
Yeah.
I tried some type of, there's a weight loss program, or I did this starve myself.
Yes.
Oh, it worked for a while, but like you said, there's all kinds of programs, but was it really a program that was right for you?
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing that I want, you said weight loss program there. I want to make sure that guys are clear that you don't actually want a weight loss program. You want a fat loss program, right? A weight loss program, that's just going to make you a smaller version of what you already are. So if you're not happy with the way your body looks in the mirror or how your clothes fit, like all you're going to do is shrink that, but you're not going to actually change the body composition. And in fact, you might actually make it a little bit worse, because as you get smaller, you're going to lose a little bit of muscle and fat. And so that's going to affect your metabolism and all those things, and affect the hormones in a negative way. So what we want to do is we want to concentrate on fat loss, not just weight loss. And that means we want to lose fat for sure, but we want to be keeping, at the very least, if not building the muscle at the same time, so that we're actually changing the way the body looks and the way the body moves and the way the body feels, the way the hormones work, the way your body uses foods. That all changes when you lose fat, not just lose weight. Yeah, super easy to, I'm going to run 5 miles a day and I'm going to drop my calories way down. You are going to lose weight, but you're not going to be getting healthier.
I appreciate you for saying fat loss, because a lot of people get offended by that. What are you talking about? It should be weight loss or weight management. No, it's fat loss, because on my women's health episodes, the 3 of them that I have on there, they all speak about that. Don't be using the word weight loss and all that. It's fat loss.
Fat loss for sure. 100%. Yeah. And I think it's a little thing, but it's people get caught up in, and you see it with men, and I'm sure you see it with women too. You get really caught up on what the scale says, right? And they say, the scales only move 2 pounds, or the scales only move 3 pounds. But at the same time, your belt loop has gone down 3 holes and your shirts all fit better again and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes it's really hard to get guys to understand, okay, the scale hasn't moved, you haven't lost weight, but your body is completely different. You have lost fat. You can see it in the pictures. That's why we take pictures every single week, so that we can see how the body changes as we go through the program. And if your clothes are fitting better and you're moving better and your body looks different in pictures, then you've lost fat, right? Even if we don't do a body fat test, we can see that you've lost fat. but you've kept muscle or you've built muscle. So now your body is really transforming as opposed to just being locked into, okay, the scale went down 5 pounds, the scale went down 10 pounds, but really I don't feel any better. I'm not moving any better. And I still don't have, I can't see any muscles when I look in the mirror. And then you're not changing your body in the way that you really want to be changing it.
Yeah, it's so key. I hear a lot of men talking about just the energy level.
Yes.
I think that's a first step. You might not see
Yeah.
the results right away.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can feel the results when you start lifting. You haven't lifted for a couple of weeks and you lift, it's, gosh, I just feel so much better. I feel toner.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think just the energy level you feel when you're working out, when you're starting to work out, just
Yep.
that you had at one time, and it's, hey, I got it back. I got some
Energy is
energy
huge.
today.
Yeah. Energy is huge. And that's something that a lot of guys have to overcome early because they're like, I'm tired all the time. Like, I don't have energy to work out. I'm like, you got to trust me. When you work out, you're going to get energy because you're going to sleep better. Your muscles are going to work better. Your cells are going to start moving. Like, your energy, like everything about your system is going to start perking back up again because you're using it the way it's meant to be used, right? You're being physical. You're moving around. You're getting fresh air. You're doing all the things as opposed to just sitting and doing nothing all the time. Yeah, your body shuts down. It doesn't give you energy because you don't use energy. So if you're just going to sit, the body's like, okay, I don't need to expend energy today, so I'm not going to give you any. But if you start moving around and going for walks and getting fresh air and pushing weights, then the body's like, okay, I need to step my game up here and give you some energy to get this work done.
It goes back in history of how they trained the Spartans at such a young age. And it's like their diet, like what they ate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like way off the chart, but
Yeah.
the diet, the exercise, and the discipline.
Yeah.
What you're talking about there is, okay, you got to get some exercise. You got to be disciplined or somebody to make you accountable.
Yes.
And it's, what are you eating? It's okay to eat maybe that pizza once in a while, but let's not be having that pizza every other night. And
yeah, it can't be a staple, right? And I tell all my guys, there's nothing that's off limits, right? Like I have 4 kids. I love pizza. I love ice cream. We go get ice cream a couple times a month at least. And we have pizza almost every week. I also eat 200 grams of protein every single day, and I eat vegetables every day, and I go to the gym 4 times a week, and I run twice a week, and whatever that looks like. It's much better for your body, and your body can handle those pizzas and ice creams and all that kind of stuff if 90% of the time you're doing the other stuff. If you're like Pat eats a pizza, I'll eat a pizza too. Yeah, but are you doing all the other stuff to go along with that? And the less body fat you have, the more muscle you have, the more active you are, your body can handle that pizza and process it better than if you are just sitting in front of a computer all day. Those are two very different things. It's not the same fuel going into the same machine.
Pat, what's some of the best advice? I know you've probably been given a lot of advice. You talked about that book, that author.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe you focus on him or something that's some of the best advice that's ever been given to you or like that stuck with you regards to your fitness journey in regards of, we've been focusing a lot on weight training, like on really that stuck with you in regards to weight training.
Yeah, so I think obviously a lot of my advice early on when it came to weight training was geared around athletic performance, right? So that's very different than what we're talking about right now. And so I think some of the best advice that I've heard and that I tell guys every day, and we talked about it a little bit already, is this is not a sprint, right? This is not where you have to, and I don't expect you to be, and I don't even want you to be perfect on day one. I want you to be a little bit better today than you were last week. And we're going to build on that. And then next week, I want you to be a little bit better than you are today. And that little bit of progress allows you to be consistent, and it allows you to not get burned out and not get injured and all the things. Because it's really easy. Guys are motivated. They jump in with both feet. Yeah, I'm going to hit all 4 workouts. I'm going to hit every rep. I'm not going to eat anything over what I'm supposed to. Get to bed all the time, blah, blah, blah. Everything's perfect. And for a week or two, that might be awesome. But then something happens at work. So one of the kids gets sick and something happens that throws you off schedule. And now you think, oh, I missed a workout, so this week is ruined. So I may as well eat everything in sight, maybe have a couple drinks and whatever, because this week is completely off track already. But it doesn't have to be. You just missed one workout. So you can either move that workout to tomorrow and just continue on your schedule. Or if that doesn't work, so what? You missed one workout, pick up the next day and carry on. I think a lot of guys get caught up in the perfection, right? I can't miss anything. I got to be perfect. And if I'm not going to be perfect, then I don't do anything. That's not the way to do it. Not at this point in our life. and not for what we're training for. Yes, if you are a professional athlete, yeah, you can't miss workouts, and they got to be good workouts, and you got to get to bed on time, all those things, and there's no wiggle room there because your performance, physical performance is everything. But that's not where we're at right now. We just want to be a little bit better. We want to look a little better, have a little more energy, feel a little bit better than we have been. So that doesn't require perfection. That requires consistency. That requires that you maybe have 2 great weeks, and maybe in the middle you miss a week here or there, but then you pick right back up again where you left off and get back on track and have 2 or 3 good weeks again. There's seasons to everything, right? And there's never going to be, we are not at the point in life where fitness is the most important thing. You may have seasons where you're able to prioritize it and you don't miss anything, but that's not going to last throughout the entire year. Not if you have business, not if you have family, not if you have kids that you're responsible for. It's just never going to be the case. So you have to prepare yourself for the fact that you're going to miss some workouts, or you're going to have some workouts that are less than what you would like them to be. You're going to have some days where you weren't able to prepare food because your kid was up all night being sick. It's just a fact of life. So you have to be able to adjust to that, understand that perfection is not required. I had a lousy week. Cool. It's done. I pick right back up the next week and I carry on.
Pat, I couldn't ask for any better wrap up right there. What you just shared. That's an amazing takeaway right there at the end of this podcast. So I want to thank you so much for your willingness to share. And where can listeners find you and follow you?
Yeah, if you're on social media, on Instagram, I am at Elite Coach. On Facebook, just my name, Pat Woodcock. Same thing on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as well. And then my website is theelitemanmethod.com. So you can find all the information there. It talks about how the program works, talks a little bit about me, my past, and how we got to this point in terms of running the Elite Man Method and coaching guys all over the world. So that's probably the number one source of everything in one place would be theelitemanmethod.com.
All right, that's a wrap with Pat Woodcock and the second of many episodes on men's health. And I want to thank you for being a part of Men Pursuing More podcast. Hey, thanks for listening to Men Pursuing More podcast. Don't forget to follow us at maupincoaching.com.